this time, we would like to welcome each and open this building without a program of dedication. And again, we welcome you to that program. We welcome you and thank you for your help, Tom. And we'd ask Eric to come up at this time and be introduced at the appropriate time.
This new and now competitive property, making us truly a capital city and second to none. With the city's help and support,
this summer wasn't conceived, and it wasn't planned or worked out by one person or one group. It represents the input of literally scores of committees and helping us develop these plans. I want to pay special tribute to the former city commission, to Mayor Robinson and the council, to the International Association of Auditorium Managers that had input, the Chamber of Commerce.
We have been looking for any possible reaction or problem that would occur from a mass vaccination program. We do this in any vaccination program, but particularly with one that is a new effort. And that is the reason why that when these were noted, these 3 cases are noted in one area here in Alabama, that we immediately began an investigation to see if there was anybody else had noticed anything, because you'd find just quirks, abnormal things, incidental, no-nonsense relations, but you can't ignore it. You've got to be on your toes, because you might be stumbling on to the beginning of a new problem. Most of the people apparently recover unless they get into respiratory complications. The figures that have been reported to us have been a 90% recovery complete. But it's a very, well, I wouldn't say without any treatment. If you have a paralysis, I think that most people will be getting treated.
How about the age of the victim?
Especially since it's, in many cases, this is a progressive type of thing. In other words, it doesn't just stop. It may progress on to a certain stage, and then you recover.
Is there...
The number of people who received swine flu and who have been reported with Guillain-Barré syndrome below the age of 18 is too small to work with. Above the age of 25, there's an essentially even age distribution up to about age 65, at which time it begins to drop off.
Now, there will no doubt be a number of people who will have some strange symptoms and will suspect that that's what's happening to them. This is very unfortunate, because you can create a lot of panic. The risk of this was quoted to us today as being, quote, relatively small, about 1 in 150,000. Well, it all depends on whether you have to be that 1 in 150,000 as whether you consider it small or not.
Mr. Dees, what chances of Judge Johnson, Franklin Johnson here in Montgomery, being appointed either the U.S. Attorney General or Director of the FBI?
I think they're very good. He is, my understanding, from people in the Carter camp, high on the list, probably in the top 3 or 4. President-elect Carter has made pledges that he's going to include minorities and women in his cabinet in high-level positions. There have been mentioned the names of Patricia Harris, an attorney, Barbara Jordan, congresswoman, an attorney, for that same job. I think that he is, Judge Johnson's highly qualified, that I personally and many others have recommended him to be Attorney General of the United States. And I feel that, President-elect Carter is going to have a very difficult choice, and I think Judge Johnson's chances are very good.
Did you advise the people in the Carter camp that Johnson would be amenable to a position like this, and did other people from Montgomery do this, namely Joseph Levin Jr.?
I can't speak for Joe Levin Jr., and I can't say whether I felt Judge Johnson would be amenable, because I've never discussed it with him. I know he's a man of integrity. He has the best interests of his country at stake. He's willing to follow the law. The fact that he's a Republican would make no difference to me. He's shown that he has great skills as a lawyer and is a very fair person, and that's what we need as our Attorney General. I have encouraged President-elect Carter and members of his staff to give him consideration. I understand that he's also been recommended highly by other people that President-elect Carter puts faith in. And that's why I think his chances are very good.
No, that's media speculation. That's all it is. Governor Carter asked that I come to Atlanta to consult with him about some cabinet appointments that he had in mind, and I was honored to have been asked, and I went, and that's all there was to it.
So what about reports of the Attorney General's
I'm a
job?
federal judge, and I enjoy my work, and I plan on staying here.
No plans for Washington?
None.
Federal judges are properly hesitant to make decisions which call for the exercise of political judgment or which necessitate an expertise they lack. A judge's professional training is in the law, not in sociology, it's not in medicine, it's not in science, it's not in penology or public administration. I doubt very seriously that any judge relishes his involvement in such a controversy or enters a decree unless the law plainly requires him to do so.
This has been before the council and sent back issue of the status of the 1975 project, 1976 engineering project, drainage project, Travis Street ditch drainage project. It's a message program.
John L. Baker, City Clerk, Cass Singer.
An easement from the city of Montgomery to the power company is to for Lagoon Park, is recommended by the administration. In order to consider this resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We suspend the rules in order to consider this resolution.
Moore Bridge, $80,400. Sidewalks.
With respect to, as a matter of courtesy, the council's recommendation.
Yes, but he may not know.
Well, that's up to the council. If the council wants to attach that to the...
Whereas agreement acceptance for officer has been prepared attached to this resolution. Now therefore be resolved that the council seal Montgomery, Alabama.
Motion table. All in favor, please signify by raising it.
That's
The appropriate appellate authority.
right.
Well, the law is out. We read it, and Judge Kanabi and all our other councilors mentioned what councils and other governing bodies do as far as someone forcing them Eastbrook Shell service station in here to the council chamber.
We're trying to do what's supposed to be done. We don't want to push people in business who aren't going to do right from the first, beginning. They don't do right here.
Done, they have met long and they have worked hard. I, for one, think they have done an outstanding. This is the third time this has been before.
Only 16 years of age. That happened at the Montgomery Country Club. That record, by the way, of winning the state crown.
And I appreciate all of them that are here tonight. Thank you very much.
His best year of the 8 years was last year when he won a total of $76,971 for 26th place. That's high cotton, brother. IRS likes you.
I don't like to give speeches, to tell you the truth. I'd rather look at those 6-footers downhill and breaking left or right too than to get up here and speak before you people. But it's not as difficult tonight because when I look out, all I see is friends, and it should be easy for a man to get up and talk to his friends, and I feel like that's what I'm doing tonight. There's a lot of people Probably some in this room that deserve this honor a lot more than me, but nobody appreciates it as much. Thank you.
Well, I ran into Charlie Pride's manager out in Las Vegas last week, and he said, you cost me $50,000, and I said, for what? He said, well, Pride's coming to your tournament, so I can't book him that weekend, and I've talked to Fred McMurray. It looks like he's coming. We got, I know the kids or the young people will like to know that we've got Epstein from Welcome Back Kotter coming in, Bob Hedges. Terry Bradshaw's coming, and hopefully we'll get Snake Stabler, and the show will be Roy Clark again this year, and of course all the Hee Haw gang, even Grandpa Jones is going to be here this year, and I think this will be our biggest and best one, and I'm going to try to be here. I'm delighted to be in Montgomery.
Come on past the block the school's in and turn left on Covington and come down here and we'll tell them where to work. I'll take a look at a bucket and see where you want us, a couple of them. West side of the building down on Covington Street side.
Fire spread through the roof, the building be the nature that it is. It's open stairwells and oil-soaked floors. What we've had here is a repeat performance of last Friday night, 3 years ago. We had the west wing of this building to be destroyed by fire.
That's the part, the newer part on the left hand, as we're looking at it, is the newer section that was once part of the old building that was burned 3 years ago.
That's right. The newer part there was where the old part stood, and we cut it off in the hallways where they connected together, and this is pretty well a repeat performance of what we had 3 years ago.
A couple of the walls, one of the walls is already down, and this front one looks like it may come down.
Well, the coping around the top, the roof and all, is slipped down. There's some on the north side of the building that some of the second floor has fell out into the courtway.
There were some ambulances leaving. Were there some injuries?
Yes, we had one firefighter that was overcome by smoke. That's the first report we got on it. We just talked to the hospital, and he's doing well. They've sent him on up to X-ray, so it looks like he's going to be all right.
It's 3 years ago and 3 days since firemen were on the scene fighting an almost identical fire at the McMillan School. This time, there won't be much left. Clark Edwards, WSFA TV News. The pictures that you're seeing are pictures of a school that has been gutted by a major fire this evening. 2 alarms have been sounded. The fire units are still on the scene, and there's still a great deal of internal burning going on in the building. The roof is caved in a few moments ago, and the firemen are using the snorkel to put what remaining fire is inside the building out. The smoke has been extremely dense throughout the evening. In fact, in the early part of the evenings, it was too dense to take pictures of the building from at least 2 blocks away, where the smoke was a simple white sheet, impenetrable by camera. Many fire units are standing by now as the last of the fire operation continues. About 7 fire units are on the scene right now, but there's little hope of saving this old structure. We have had reports of several injuries at the scene, but we have no verification of those injuries as yet and how extensive they might be or to whom the injuries were suffered. For right now, the McGinnis School has been gutted. Most of the main structure of the building is totally destroyed. The snorkel is searching the interior of the building for the last vestiges of what fire is left in the building. And that's the way it stands at midnight. The fire was reported shortly after 9 o'clock this evening. Firemen have been on the scene in force ever since. Clark Edwards, WSFA TV News Live, 1104 Clay Street, McKenna School. Chief Odom, is there any idea how this fire started yet?
Not at this time, there's not. Our first report, when the first company got here, they found fire on the first floor and then entering into the second floor, and they quickly turned in a second alarm. Fire spread through the roof. The building be the nature that it is. It's open stairwells and oil-soaked floors. What we've had here is a repeat performance of last Friday night 3 years ago. We had the west wing of this building to be destroyed by fire.
That's the part, the newer part on the left hand, as we're looking at it, is the newer section that was once part of the old building that was burned 3 years ago.
That's right. The newer part there was where the old part stood, and we cut it off in the hallways where they connected together, and this is pretty well a repeat performance of what we had 3 years ago.
A couple of the walls, one of the walls is already down, and this front one looks like it may come down.
Well, the coping around the top, the roof and all, is slipped down. There's some on the north side of the building that some of the second floor has fell out into the courtway.
There were some ambulances leaving. Were there some injuries?
Yes, we had one firefighter that was overcome by smoke. That's the first report we got on it. We just talked to the hospital, and he's doing well. They've sent him on up to X-ray, so it looks like he's going to be all right.
But that was the only injury?
That's the only injury at this time. We're going to probably have a few nails and skinned fingers and this sort of thing.
How many units were here now?
We had 5 pumpers and 2 ladders and 1 articulated boom. That left in service 8 pumpers and 2 ladder trucks, which adequately covered the city. And we didn't have to call in any outside or additional help on this fire.
Is there any indication now that you're going to have to knock those walls down?
No, everything's looking all right. We are pulling our lines back now and setting our pumpers down, and we'll begin to overhaul it. We got a few spot fires throughout the building, but it'll just be routine from now on.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Clark Edwards, live with Minicam report from McMillan School on the northwest portion of the city. Wallace?
Dr. Chester, how did this syndrome come to the attention of health officials?
3 cases of Guillain-Barré syndrome were seen by the same group of neurologists in Huntsville. These cases were reported by these physicians through the influenza surveillance system set up by the Center for Disease Control. Following receipt of this information, the State Health Department and the Center for Disease Control started a cooperative data gathering effort throughout the state looking for additional cases.
Can you describe the symptoms for me?
Yes, the disease normally starts as a weakness and then paralysis in the lower extremities, usually accompanied by a feeling of numbness. It then may ascend up the body and affect the arms and hands and the trunk. In some cases it may progress and affect the nerves that control the muscles of the face, and sometimes the nerves that control breathing. In those cases where the nerves that control breathing are affected, the patient may have to be placed on a respirator in a hospital. At this time, we do not have any evidence that either proves or disproves the connection, the possible connection between Guillain-Barré syndrome and influenza immunization. As I said, Guillain-Barré syndrome is not a reportable disease. We do not know what the normal incidence of this disease is in previous years. Since this syndrome was picked up through the influenza surveillance system, and since we know that a little more than half of the cases so far reported have received swine flu immunizations on a national basis, the federal officials have decided that as a precautionary measure, a moratorium should be put on further immunization until enough data can be collected and analyzed to enable us to make a decision as to whether or not there is a relationship.
Well, tomorrow and all during this week, we expect a vast amount of traffic due to last-minute shoppers picking up things. So it'll be a lot of traffic all this week.
Is tomorrow going to be your heaviest day?
Well, we feel like that starting tomorrow, every day will be just about as heavy as another. It'll get so congested out here that it'll look like a big parking lot.
Besides staying at home and just keeping away from it, is there any way that a motorist can make driving a little bit easier?
Well, the biggest thing that when a motorist gets in a big traffic jam is they get impatient, and they're in a hurry to get somewhere. If they'll just slow down a little bit and take their time and not get in a big hurry, they'll eventually get there. It might take a little longer, but you'll be sure to get there if you take your time.
Officials are also asking that motorists do not cross bypass traffic and try to avoid emergency lanes. There's hope that next year, when Montgomery has a new mall, the bypass traffic may spread out a little, adding some relief. But others fear it may mean just another pain in the neck for Montgomery Traffic Police. From the Southern Bypass, Bill Weaver, WSFA TV News.
238, hey!
You think the game may come down to the ability to get the ball to Ozzie and Thad on the wings?
Well, I don't, want to say that's going to be the key to it, but I think we're going to have to throw the ball early, to open them up for the defense. I mean, for their defense won't, I'll just get up there on the line, wait for the run. If we throw the ball early, I think that, that's going to open up a running game. It's going to get to going.
Yeah, I think it will, because, I think, them considering us being a wishbone team, I think they're going to take away the run from us, and so we're going to have to put up probably.
Open it up that way, huh?
Uh-huh.
Well, it was a fine season. It's not a culmination of any dream yet because we still have a way to go, and, we have to work hard. And we're not an established football school by any manner or means. We know it. We're kind of an upstart, and we just have to keep working hard and hope that we can keep improving our program.
Well, you say it's not the culmination. What's to come? What are your future goals?
Well, our future goals are we're going to pick up, hopefully over the next few years, a few different teams and get ourselves a tougher schedule. A lot of people are saying we don't play anybody, and we're going to be picking up a few teams and hope that we can compete and compete well with those teams.
You said earlier that you thought you would be competitive with some SEC teams.
Alabama in particular, is it?
Well, I was asked that question, and I have to give an answer, and I don't want to cite in on Alabama in particular. What I did say is that I haven't had the opportunity to see these teams play other than Alabama and Memphis State on film. And again, we're looking at one game, so it's very difficult to make a judgment. Well, I feel we had a good football team, and I do feel we would be competitive with either Alabama or Memphis State.
After giving a lot of thought about it and thinking about the individuals that had served as Attorney General for the last several years and looking at their records and how they came out of the office, I didn't think it was my cup of tea, and I asked that my name be removed from consideration.
It's apparent you are good friends with the nominee. What kind of Attorney General do you think Judge Bell will make?
Well, he's very much interested in court reform. He was the chairman of the Judicial Administration Division of the American Bar Association this past year, and he has advocated sweeping changes in the federal judicial system, and I think you'll find that he will be a person that will give a lot of leadership to reforming the federal judicial system and also organizing an all-out campaign against crime.
Our parcel operation is running right on schedule. We're receiving parcels from 600, 700, 800 miles away in 3 and 4 days, which is real good.
Do you think there are going to be many people disappointed from the looks of things about getting their packages and cards on time?
I believe not. I believe that we'll be current. And of course, the only problem that we may face will be some of those late mailers who didn't get their parcels deposited in time.
When is work going to be finished here as far as the Christmas rush?
At 6 a.m. Friday morning, we will finish processing, and then, of course, our carriers will be out delivering everything that we have on hand at 6 a.m. Friday morning.
Linebacker Barry Krause pulled down the first of 3 interceptions of UCLA's Jeff Dangforth. The 44-yard return was the beginning of the end for the Bruins. A stoic Bear Bryant also threw in a few offensive tricks to surprise UCLA. Alabama quarterback Jack O'Rear pitched to tailback Tony Nathan, then slipped quietly out of the backfield. Nathan threw back to the unguarded O'Rear, and the touchdown made the score 24-0. A grim Terry Donahue watched the Alabama defense stop his Bruins several times close to the goal. Linebacker Krause stunned Theodis Brown on a crucial 4th and 1 play just before halftime. That left the Bruins cold and dispirited, and the second half didn't bring any relief for the West Coasters. Another UCLA scoring threat was stuffed on a dramatic interception by Mike Turner. The embarrassing defeat shocked UCLA, which had been undefeated until just before the final game of the regular season, when the Bruins were beaten by Southern Cal and lost a trip to the Rose Bowl. After a 36-6 humiliation at the hands of Alabama in a wind-frozen Liberty Bowl, the Bruins no doubt wish they'd won that trip to sunny Pasadena more than ever. Tim Weigel, NBC News.
We all win.
Need to mix a drink.
Would you rather be here in a nice warm house watching the game, or would you rather be there?
I'd rather be there. Anytime I'd rather be there.